Hello everyone, here's what's coming up tonight on Now. School shootings turned into a video game. This first-person shooter game has parents in an uproar. Can violent video games warp the minds of children? An expert is live in studio to answer your questions. Join the conversation now on Facebook Live.
We just want those pictures and videos back. A stolen laptop is replaceable, but the photos of their dead son are not. A family's desperate plea.
And a record-breaking reboot canceled. How a Twitter rant canned Roseanne. This is News Center Now. The gamer decides, be a member of the SWAT team or play the part of the murderous school shooter. Hello everyone, I'm Lindsay Mills.
And I'm Lee Goldberg. Active Shooter. It's not on the market yet, but tech experts are already asking parents to keep this game far away from their kids.
Inside a classroom or storming the hallways, this is a look at Active Shooter, a video game that puts the players in the perspective of the shooter.
I mean, definitely don't let your children play this game.
Tech expert Dan Thompson says the game crosses the line. It's a scenario that's all too familiar for recent survivors of school shootings in Santa Fe, Texas and Parkland, Florida. Violent video games have been around for years, but some in the gaming industry say this takes it too far. And tens of thousands of people agree, like Stephanie Robinette, who created an online petition that's gained 80,000 signatures and counting. And that's just one circulating. Another has signatures from all over the country, including Maine. The game is scheduled to drop June 6th. Users will be able to download and play the game from the digital distributor, Steam. The company responded to the backlash with a statement that reads in part, Active Shooter is essentially a dynamic SWAT simulator in which dynamic roles are offered to players. Here's what some of you had to say. Lori writes, you have to wonder who would make a game like this, who is selling it, and who would buy it. Such poor taste. And Michael writes, it does not deserve a ban. Don't want it? Then don't buy it. It will fail on its own because it's a crappy game. But whomever made this has a right to release it.
And is there a link between violent video games and school shootings? Dr. Jeffrey S. Barkin, a psychiatrist, saw this story actually over the weekend, and you decided to dig into the research. So what are your thoughts on this active shooter game?
Well, first, it's pretty tacky. But then again, it's entertainment. And I think it's important that we breathe a little bit, take a step back, and realize that it's a free society, we have free speech. And I remember when I was a kid, my parents thought that the world was going to end with the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, and parental attitudes towards youth have always been sort of like, that's dangerous, and this is this case now with video games. But so many kids play video games, and so many kids do just fine and don't involve themselves in any violence or school shootings. The problem is that vulnerable kid. So when we think about risk, and we think about factors, they tend to accumulate.
What is a risk factor?
That's a great question. A risk factor is something that increases the probability or likelihood that something else will happen. And risk factors don't even have to be relevant. So in almost every school shooting, I'd be, probably accurate to say that they all wore socks. Yet socks are not really a risk factor. So risk factors have defined attributes to increase the chance of something happening. And the research that I've had a chance to go through shows that video games is a risk factor for aggression but not violence. And when you roll that aggression into kind of the right kid, think about somebody who's alienated, who's bullied, who's especially excluded. Okay, maybe a little their thought is off, they can't tell reality from not reality, maybe a little alcohol comes on board, and that's the kid to watch out for. But my opinion is you don't have to get rid of your kids, and you certainly don't have to, be overly worried about the video games. But if your kid is excluded, is a risk factor kid, being around a violent video game and violent anything is probably not the best thing in general.
And Dr. Barkin, off camera, we talked a lot about the research you had found over the weekend, and the words cause and correlate were coming up, right? So why were those words coming up, and what is the difference between the two?
That is a great question. A cause is just what you'd think, right? A causes B. correlate is when something occurs in relationship to something else, but not necessarily caused by it. And the question is, how do you know if two factors are causal, if A causes B, or if A and B are correlated? And the research looks into that really carefully, and there are factors that assess that. One of them is the time association, the so-called temporal association. So if A occurs, does B immediately follow? And in the case of television and television violence, it's interesting because when television came to Japan, Australia, and the United States, within 10 to 12 years, rates of homicide actually went up. But to put this in perspective, between 1994 and 2014, in that 20-year period, sales of video games went up something like 200%, yet rates of violence actually went down 75%. So it's disingenuous, it's not honest to say that video games cause violence, but clearly they can make the right person aggressive. And in the context of that game, becoming that school shooter and then becoming what's called disinhibited, so you don't have the brakes, maybe intoxication, schizophrenia, major mental illness.
Dr. Barkan, we're out of time, but thank you so much for stopping by and talking more about this. Stick around because we're going to continue this conversation on Facebook Live. Send us your questions right now on our Facebook live stream. We're going to send it over to Lee.
All right, Lindsay, thanks. An Indiana school district opened classrooms for the first time since a gunman opened fire in the middle school. Noblesville Middle is the only school still closed. Students will return to class there tomorrow. Noblesville police will be on hand for the last week of the district's school year. It's game time for the nation's top spellers. The Scripps National Spelling Bee is underway in Washington, D.C. Today, kids took a written test, the first round of the preliminaries, testing vocabulary and grammar. The finals are on ESPN on Friday. Two Mainers are among the elite spellers. Ian Lee is 14 from Bangor, speller 107. According to Ian's bio, his favorite sports figure is Tom Brady. Good choice. Also on stage this week, Colin Aponte. He's 13 from Blue Hill. Colin is speller 205. Meteorologist number one is, okay, wait a second. I was clearly hacked. Somebody hacked me.
Somebody wrote that in there?
Hack. What happened?
You know, Doc, don't feel bad, by the way. I get cut off all the time. They do it just recreationally for me. Like, we're out of time. I've been here talking 10 seconds. You know?
All right, Keith, wrap.
All right, I know, we're done. It's nice today. 85 for a high temperature officially in Portland, 86 in Wiscasset. So right to the coastline, we got temperatures into the mid-80s, 82 in Waterville and 82 in Bangor. Caribou, one of the cooler spots at 70 degrees. That's west-northwest wind, essential to have a warm day along the coastline, fighting off what would otherwise be a sea breeze. So a little bit gusty, 20 miles an hour at times, but still enough to fight off that naturally occurring sea breeze. Another beautiful day satellite-wise, clean across the entire state. If we zoom out, we're not the only ones. Most of New England and parts of the eastern Great Lakes are clear. So we've got another bright sunny day on Wednesday and another warm day on Thursday. So this week, as promised last week, turning out perfectly. So tomorrow is a bright day, but it's substantially cooler than today. Wind directions change, upper 60s, low 70s should do it for highs. After that, though, another hot day on Thursday. Temperatures could be in the upper 80s away from the immediate coastline. Guys, we'll talk more about that and the weekend, which the forecast is improving little by little in just a few minutes.
All right, Keith, thanks so much. Imagine the horror of losing a child. Now imagine that some of the only memories you have of your child got stolen. For one Maine family, that is a reality. The hope is the power of social media will help get those memories back.
They stole tools and a blower and a bunch of stuff off of the trucks.
Libby Scott Paving in Berwick was robbed at some point Friday night.
They used a crowbar and jimmied that open.
It wasn't the outside stuff taken that has the owner upset.
It was just sitting here, and then they moved that to unplug it.
This is where Scott Holland's computer used to be. On it, hundreds of pictures and videos of Scott's family, including his son Alex, who died in a car crash less than 2 years ago at just 25 years old.
We just want those pictures and videos back.
Scott's wife Kim took to social media to ask everyone and anyone for help in getting those memories back.
We don't care. We're not going to press charges. We're not nothing. We just want Alex's stuff back. We just need. That's all we have of Alex. We just want stuff of our sons back. And I'm just begging of you, just to send it. Drop it off, send it. It doesn't matter. We honestly don't care. It's all my husband has. It's all he has. And he just wants stuff of his buddy back.
There were a couple of security cameras pointed in the direction of the break-in, and the community is rallying around the Hollands. The stolen memories of his son has taken its toll on Scott.
He was hoping to save those for his kids. You know, like, look how much Dad loved you. Look how much fun you had with him, you know, because they're only little. And so his breaking is hard. He's having a hard time emotionally.
The Hollands have asked that if anybody has the computer or knows who has the computer to, at the very least, put the pictures and the videos on a thumb drive or a disk and just mail that to P.O. Box 817 in Wells, Maine. No questions asked, and hopefully somebody steps up and does the right thing.
Absolutely heartbreaking.
It's awful.
Oh, I can't get those pictures back. Okay, Lee, thanks. Well, the reboot of Roseanne was a ratings slam dunk, but now ABC has canned the show. That's next. And is there a gas pump hack that will boost your car's gas mileage? We're going to verify this later on Now.
A very successful TV show is axed tonight thanks to a racist tweet that rippled across social media, igniting widespread outrage. ABC Network cancels its hit series Roseanne just one season after its revival, which premiered to more than 18 million viewers. Now, in a statement, ABC says Roseanne's Twitter statement is abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with our values, and we have decided to cancel her show. Now, this comes after the star of the show, Roseanne Barr, suggested in a now deleted tweet that former White House advisor Valerie Jarrett is a product of the Muslim Brotherhood and the Planet of the Apes. Jarrett is African American. The actress was responding to a claim that former President Obama spied on French presidential candidates, and a social media user accused Jarrett of helping Obama hide. Now, Barr initially defended her words, saying Islam is not a race, but she later announced she was leaving Twitter and wrote, "I apologize to Valerie Jarrett and to all Americans. I am truly sorry for making a bad joke about her politics and her looks. I should have known better. Forgive me. My joke was in bad taste." Before ABC canceled the show, comedian Wanda Sykes, who was a consulting producer, tweeted she would not be returning to Roseanne. Sarah Gilbert played Roseanne's daughter in the sitcom and wrote, "Her comments do not reflect the beliefs of our cast and crew or anyone associated with our show. I am disappointed in her actions, to say the least." Now, today, Valerie Jarrett responded to the tweet during a taping of MSNBC's Town Hall.
I think we have to turn it into a teaching moment. I'm fine. I'm worried about all the people out there who don't have a circle of friends and followers who come right to their defense. The person who's walking down the street minding their own business and they see somebody cling to their purse or want to cross the street. Or every black parent I know who has a boy who has to sit down and have a conversation, the talk, as we call it. And those, as you say, those ordinary examples of racism that happen every single day. And I think that's why I'm so glad to be here this evening talking with all of you.
Now, Roseanne's tweet was part of a larger tweet storm where she incorrectly claimed Chelsea Clinton was related to George Soros and called Soros a Nazi. Roseanne took back her comments about Clinton and apologized. Now, it's important to note this is not the first time Barr has used the word ape to describe an African American. In 2013, she tweeted that Obama National Security Advisor Susan Rice is a man with big swinging ape blank. We can't say it on TV. She also deleted that tweet. Leah Lindsay.
All right, Katie, thank you very much. Obviously, that's going to have a lot of people talking, and rightfully so. So, all right, so did you go outside today? And if you did you get all sweaty? Everybody got sweaty today. Will the temps keep on climbing this week? Keith's full forecast coming up.
And this moving photo from a baseball game is connecting with people everywhere. We'll be right back with that story. All right, this wasn't your imagination. There were more tourists in Maine this Memorial Day weekend. The Maine Turnpike says traffic was up 1.3% compared to the same long weekend last year. And if you were one of those 900,000 plus drivers, you're probably pretty annoyed by the rising gas prices.
I think most people came to meet me, the official greeter in the state of Maine, right? There is a rumor circulating online claiming that paying a little bit more at the pump could actually save you some money, so we wanted to verify.
It's no secret gas prices are rising. Nationwide, the average price for a gallon of gas is approaching $3.
Every vehicle's user manual lists a recommended octane level for when you refill it at the pump. But claims online say that if you use a higher than recommended octane level, you can get more and your tank will last longer. So we wanted to know if it was true. For this, we turned to the experts at Smith Family Auto Care in Temple.
James Smith is the co-owner. He says octane refers to the pressure required for the engine's internal combustion process.
If you put a higher octane fuel in than what it calls for, it isn't going to make it perform any better. You're not going to get any better gas mileage. You're just spending more money.
Smith says high-performance vehicles like imported luxury cars and sports cars use high-octane fuel to accelerate and perform as expected. If you put in a lower octane fuel instead,
you can use a lower octane. The newer models, cars 2000 and up, are going to make adjustments for whatever octane that you put in.
Smith says that adjustment is called engine ping, and if it continues, simply go back to the higher octane fuel. If it keeps going after that, go see your mechanic.
If your octane level is too low, that NOx sensor will pick up that, and the computer will pick up the code from the NOx sensor and make the timing adjustments.
So, will higher octane fuel boost your car's gas mileage? We can go ahead and verify that claim is false. Continue using what's recommended in your vehicle's owner's manual.
Well, I recommend that I pay less for gas. So there's that.
We can do that. I guess you could walk everywhere.
Ride a bike.
Yeah,
ride a bike. Scooters are good.
So that's good. That's another way to do it. Nice today. What do you think today?
Beautiful today.
Little
kids
mild.
Beautiful.
Went into the little kiddie pool. Yep.
That's
you don't have an Olympic-sized pool at your house for all the kids? With the
It's funny.
That would be a good
Maybe
investment.
if I did weather.
Maybe we do
then
a GoFundMe for Lee's kids pool.
Ooh, I like
it could
that.
be a
Sounds
could
good.
be a thing. I think we could raise some money. As long as they get to come to in the pool.
Caddy day at the pool. Here comes Keith.
All right, warm today. Mid-80s in a lot of spots. 86 officially in Portland, 86 in Sanford and Freiburg as well. Dew points, though, not bad, so relatively dry. That's been the case so far with our mild to hot days this year. We haven't had high dew points to go along with it. Something's wrong with the temperature, not the dew points there in Freiburg at 72. No way it's that high. Most of us in the 40s and 50s. So again, relatively dry air mass. Nice and clean on the satellite picture. As I mentioned before, that goes all the way back into the Great Lakes. So another bright day tomorrow and most of Thursday, although significantly cooler than today. You'll see that in the hour-by-hour forecast. Temperatures drop tonight in the 60s, and most of the night is comfortable, but a little bit on the mild side, particularly through the first half of the night. By tomorrow morning, we get into the 50s to start, and even though we have a lot of sunshine, we're just not nearly as warm with our air mass. So temperatures upper 60s to low 70s for highs by tomorrow afternoon. And then Thursday is another bright day, but Thursday is a split state forecast, if you will. Much cooler along the coastline with some morning fog, much warmer as you head inland, and then some late cloudiness moving in. So here's Thursday's high temperatures. 70s and 60s along the coastline, mid and upper 80s inland, and it will be a little bit more muggy there on Thursday as well. Now the weekend did not look good, but there's some good news. The trend is your friend here, where it's improving our chances of a decent weekend in which the showers move out on Friday night. We might actually eke out the weekend days with some sunshine. I'm not ready to lock that in yet, but I'll tell you that it looks better now than it did even yesterday, the weekend forecast. Pollen, terrible everywhere. Birch, oak, maple, everything on your car. I'm sure you're aware of that. And rain is usually what helps reset the pollen count. And guess what? There isn't a whole lot of that in the forecast. Friday night might help a bit, but you need a pretty good rain, usually a ½ inch or more, to really wash away pollen and reset it. It's just not happening. So if you don't feel good, if you feel a little stuffy and whatnot, that's it. Pollen's high.
That explains it.
Yep, every day.
Every day. No,
Welcome to
lately
my
I
life.
felt it, and last year I had no problems.
I had the eyes, the sneezing, the
Zyrtec
elbow.
or whatever, Claritin, all that stuff.
Does the trick.
Yeah, great.
Okay, all right, Keith.
Commercial for anti-allergies. There you go.
Exactly. A picture of a junior ROTC member standing guard in the rain at the Atlanta Braves game is going viral, but it's the other person in the photo that has people talking. The cadet is standing at attention next to the stadium seat, always left empty, in honor of all the soldiers who are missing in action or prisoners of war. A fan at the game didn't want the cadet to stand alone, so he held up his own umbrella, trying to keep him dry.
What a great picture that is. There is a bit of a competition going down on the Belfast Police Facebook page. Who can take the cutest selfie with a baby bird? First up, Sergeant Fitzpatrick and the lost duckling. The post says that he tried to outfit the chick with a hat and badge, but it didn't fit. The duckling is now headed to avian heaven. But Sergeant Gibbs did not want to be outdone, so he posted photos from his bird rescue saying that the baby probably just left the nest a little bit too early.
It's like real life make way for ducklings. There, if you wanted a caffeine pick-me-up this afternoon, don't go to Starbucks. Most of the chains, if you haven't heard by now, are closed this afternoon for implicit bias awareness training. Starbucks CEO ordered the classes after 2 black men were arrested simply for sitting in a Philadelphia location.
News Center 5:30 coming up next. Cindy Williams with a look at what's coming up. Hey, Cindy.
Hi, guys. We've told you before, Maine businesses are really struggling to find employees to get them through the summer season. Well, it turns out the survivors of Hurricane Maria really need a safe place to live and work. How workers in Puerto Rico are getting connected with coastal resorts right here. Also ahead, the son of fallen officer Corporal Cole received a much-needed piece of equipment today, a bulletproof vest for his canine partner. How the community made that happen. It's all coming up next on News Center at 5:30. Back to you.
All right, Cindy, thanks so much. Raindrops when we come back.
All right, so I like to get viewer questions. This one was, please help me settle a bet between me and my husband. Now, normally, that's the end of that. I'm just not doing it. However, he says that it's not been over 100 degrees in Gorham since we moved here in 2004. I said it hit 100 at least 5 times. Now, I responded to it last night and said, before I look into this, I'm going to tell you you're probably not right.
My guess would be the under as well. I would say of it being 3. 5.
Yeah.
If I would guess, I'd say 3.
So, okay.
So are you the husband in
now,
this situation?
Of course I'm not.
Okay.
Gorham doesn't have its own official station, so I had to take 2 different spots. There's Gorham, in case you don't know, because Maine's a big state. Not everybody knows where it is. Okay, so what I did is I took one from Windham and Hollis. Hollis, this is from 2004 to now, 0, 100 or above days. So, not looking good. However, when we went to Windham, there was 1 100 degree or more day, which begs the question, who then wins this bet? Because the answer is 1. So it's far less than 5. But he said, the husband said, it had never happened. So, jury,
I go
judge,
with the wife on this
It
one.
has to be the wife for the only reason that the wife is always right.
And because happy wife, happy life.
All right, so we're not playing.
Same reason.
See, this I don't know how I'm still married. I say 0 is closer to 1 than 5 is.
But it doesn't matter, because if his answer was 0 and there's been anything other than 0, he's wrong.
Okay.
The fact that she was off by a few doesn't matter. She was right.
Natasha,
it actually
you
had
win
happened.
apparently, according to Liam
Case of
Lindsay.
turtle wax.
I don't know what you
the
get.
door.
You win.
News Center 5:30 starts right now.